Hi everyone, Mark O'Connor here, partner at Cutcher Neale. The government's federal budget for the year ahead was presented last night. There were a few surprises or new initiatives announced in this pre-election budget. In delivering the 2022-23 budget, the Treasurer recognised global volatility as well as the financial pressures here at home, including the pandemic, floods, bushfires and the tough 2 years Australians have faced. The budget for 22-23 is forecast to be a cash deficit of $78 billion, and this is similar to the expected deficit of $80 billion for the 21-22 year. Just for comparison, 2 years ago, and early in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the cash deficit for 21 was forecast to be $214 billion, and that's almost 3 times what has been reported now. The key numbers presented last night reflect the strong performance of the Australian economy relative to other countries around the world. Actual economic growth has been higher than forecast. Unemployment is currently lower than the forecast, and for 21-22, the cash deficit will be much lower than expected. And the Treasurer recognised the government's contribution to this success, pointing to the low unemployment rates, which are expected to be as low as 3.75% later in the year, and this will be the lowest in 50 years. This was attributed in part to government spending over the past 2 years, including the JobKeeper program. The low unemployment rate should be good news for workers, but this is also a serious issue for employers. Many organisations providing health or personal care in aged care or disability settings are facing major challenges to recruit and retain their workforce. Teacher shortages have also been widely reported since the start of the year. Media reporting leading into the budget had focused on the cost of living pressures, rising inflation and the hardships communities have faced in the recent flood events. And these themes were reflected in the Treasurer's announcements last night, which included assisting households with cost of living pressures and housing affordability, adding to health spending for mental health and domestic violence support, and targeted incentives for training and skills development in priority trades. And the main announcements were focused on financial support to assist families with rising costs, and these have included an immediate but temporary 50% reduction in fuel excise, which is expected to provide a saving of 22 cents per litre for the next 6 months. An expansion of the existing home guarantee scheme, and on the personal income tax front, low to middle income earners will receive a one-off $420 cost of living tax offset. Eligible pensioners and concession card holders will also receive a one-off $250 payment next month. For health and personal care, budget announcements included continued funding of the health response to the COVID-19 pandemic for testing, diagnosis and telehealth support, vaccination and rapid tests, further investment in aged care over the next 5 years, building on last year's announcements in response to the Royal Commission into aged care quality and safety. Also strengthening primary health care, commissioning of after-hours medical services and improving access to rural health care. And finally, expanding access to mental health services for young Australians. For education and training, some budget announcements included growing the care and support workforce, incentives for new apprenticeships targeting new trainees and apprentice commencements, and the continuation of wage subsidies for eligible employers of trainees and apprentices. The Treasurer also restated the government's commitment to the National Disability Insurance Scheme. The budget figures show a continued increase in the total cost of disability support, with total expenditure forecast to increase by almost 20% next year. We appreciate, however, that service providers are recognising an increasing gap between the funding available for the people in their care and the cost of delivering the appropriate level of support. So in conclusion, the financial performance of the Australian economy has been better than expected. The government spending, low unemployment and global impact on supplies is being reflected in higher costs for business and families. The significant deficits over the past few years are adding to the total debt, which is forecast to increase to over $1 trillion in 2 years' time. This budget reflects the strong performance of Australia in comparison to other economies around the world, without making any major structural changes to taxation or expenditure. You can find further analysis of this year's federal budget on our website. Have a great day.